This is Boats of the Thousand Islands, the show about every kind of watercraft on the Great St. Lawrence River. Your hosts are Robbie and Terry, both 15. Every week they break it down so you actually get it.
Show about every kind of watercraft on the Great St. Lawrence River. I'm Terry.
And I'm Robbie, and today we're talking about the big ones, the Lakers and Salties, the massive freighters that haul everything from grain to steel through the Seaway.
We're talking ships so long they barely fit the locks. Like you've seen them slide past and thought, how is that even real?
It's basically a floating skyscraper tipped on its side, just cruising past your cottage at sunrise.
The St. Lawrence Seaway opened in 1959 and it changed everything. Suddenly, ocean-going ships could reach the Great Lakes 2,000 miles from the Atlantic.
2,000 miles inland. That's like sailing from the ocean to Chicago without ever leaving a connected waterway.
The Seaway was a joint project between Canada and the United States, which is kind of wild when you think about two countries basically digging a superhighway together.
A very wet superhighway with locks instead of overpasses.
There are 15 locks in the whole Seaway system, and each one lifts or lowers ships by about 15 to 24 meters to handle the elevation changes.
Imagine being on a giant ship and just slowly rising like you're in the world's slowest elevator, except the elevator is the size of a city block.
The locks have a maximum size that ships must fit, called the Seaway Max, so vessels are built specifically to squeeze through with just a bit of room.
We're talking a few centimeters of clearance on the sides sometimes. Captains earn their pay.
A Seaway Max vessel can be up to 226 meters long and about 23 meters wide. That's almost 2.5 football fields.
And they can carry over 25,000 tons of cargo. Grain, iron ore, potash, coal, basically everything that built North America.
The ships that stay on the Great Lakes and Seaway are called Lakers. They're designed specifically for this system and never really go to the ocean.
And then there are Salties, ocean ships that come all the way from Europe or South America, sail up the St. Lawrence, and suddenly they're in the middle of a continent.
A sailor from Rotterdam waking up and seeing Kingston, Ontario out the porthole must be a little surreal.
I thought we were going to sea. Why is there a Tim Hortons on the shore?
The shipping season on the Seaway runs roughly from late March to late December because ice closes things down for winter.
Which means there's this dramatic final convoy every December where ships race to get through before the locks close for the season.
Imagine being the last ship through, no pressure, just don't get frozen in.
The icebreakers do work the river in winter, but the Seaway locks themselves shut down, so commercial traffic basically pauses for a few months.
Canadian Coast Guard icebreakers are genuinely incredible. They keep the shipping channel open as long as possible and help vessels in trouble on the river.
A ship getting stuck in Seaway ice would be a bad day for everybody, especially whoever's waiting on that grain delivery.
Grain is actually one of the biggest cargoes. Canadian prairie wheat loaded in Thunder Bay sailed through the lakes down the Seaway and out to ports around the world.
So the bread you eat in Egypt might have started as wheat moving past Brockville on a freighter. That's a wild supply chain.
Iron ore goes the other direction, ore from Quebec mines heading to steel mills in Hamilton or Toledo, feeding the whole manufacturing economy.
The Seaway carries about 40 million tons of cargo every single year. That's an enormous amount of stuff moving on water instead of roads or rails.
Water transport is actually really efficient for bulk cargo. Way less fuel per ton than trucking, which matters a lot for things like grain and ore.
So freighters are kind of the unsung heroes of the green economy. Big, slow, unglamorous, but surprisingly efficient.
Nobody puts a freighter on a poster, but they're quietly keeping grocery prices lower and emissions down.
I'd put a freighter on a poster. I think they look cool.
You would? You also think the Burlington Skyway looks cool.
It does look cool. Bridges are cool. Anyway, the crews on these ships live aboard for weeks at a time because a single voyage can take many days.
The wheelhouse technology is amazing now. GPS, radar, electronic chart systems, autopilot, but you still need experienced mariners to handle locks and tight channels.
The Thousand Islands stretch is actually one of the trickier navigating spots, with all the islands and shoals and the current pushing through.
Pilots, not the airplane kind, the river kind, actually board the ships at certain points to guide them through the most complicated sections of the Seaway.
A St. Lawrence River pilot has to know every twist and sandbar by heart. It takes years of training.
There's a real romance to it, honestly. A ship leaving a Ukrainian port, crossing the Atlantic, threading up the St. Lawrence passed all these islands, delivering cargo to the middle of a continent.
Same river, 1,000 years ago, was canoed by indigenous peoples. Now it's got a 200-meter freighter on it. The river has seen a lot.
The river connects everything, past, present, the ocean, the heartland. That's kind of what this show is about, honestly.
And next time you see one of those enormous ships gliding silently past the islands, just remember it's carrying 25,000 tons of the world's essentials.
Also remember the captain has about 30 centimeters of clearance in that lock, and somehow that's normal.
Completely normal. Very chill. No big deal. Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay curious, stay waterborne, and see you next week on Boats of the Thousand Islands.